Hello friends, today we discuss plant diseases. In general, a plant becomes diseased when it is continuously disturbed by some causal agent that results in an abnormal physiological process that disrupts the plant's normal structure, growth, function or other activities. Plant diseases can be broadly classified according to the nature of their primary causal agent, either infectious or non-infectious. Infectious plant diseases are caused by a pathogenic organism such as fungi, bacterium, mycoplasma, virus, viroid, nematode or parasitic flowering plant. The study of plant disease is called plant pathology. Pathology is derived from the two Greek word pathos means disease and logos means study. Hence, plant pathology means study of plant diseases. Table of contents are as green ear disease of bajra, smut of wheat, citrus canker, rust of wheat, little leaf of brinjal and root node nematode. First of all, we discuss about green ear disease of bajra. The green ear disease of bajra is a common disease and has been reported from several countries including India, Iran, Israel, China, Fiji, Japan and the countries wherever bajra crop is grown. The causal organism is Sclerospora graminicola. It's an obligate parasite. Symptoms. Two stages of the symptoms of the disease have been recorded. The downy mildew stage prominent on the leaves and the green ear stage affecting the inflorescence. The latter is more prominent than the former symptom since it has been reported that the strain of the pathogen occurring in India produces more oospores than the sporangia. The growth of the plants affected is checked and the plants appear stunted and sick, pale yellow in color. Even young plants show this symptom. Soon, the leaves begin to show chlorosis in streaks on the upper surface, while the lower surface shows downy growth of the fungus. After some time, chlorotic areas turn brown and in advanced stages, shredding of the leaves has also been observed. Since the plant is unbranched, the disease causes stimulation of nodal buds and lateral shoots develop, which is an abnormal character. Associated with it, the leaves also show additional symptoms. The usually green color of the leaves may change wholly or partially to whitish or brown color. Whitening of the younger leaves is evident along the streaks, while in older leaves the color changes to brown. In older plants, this occurs especially in those leaves from the axis of which the inflorescence develops. The change of the color of leaves is associated with twisting, folding and shredding towards the tip. In older plants where green ears have been formed, the upper leaves are mostly brown and split. A large number of leaf buds develop into a large mass of white or twisted brown leaves. The exile of these buds produce green leafy human ear-like structures. The disease becomes prominent when the inflorescence gets converted into green leafy ears. Then, what is control measures of this disease? Green ear disease is primarily soil borne and the following control measures have been suggested. Rotation of crop with non-host type may check the disease. Removal of diseased plants and their burning within a month of the disease detection checks the disease to a large extent. Spraying with diathane M45 also helps in controlling the disease. Seed treatment with 0.1% agrocin GN and 0.4% Thiram has been reported to control the disease to 50%. Use of disease-resistant varieties like HB15, PHB10 and PHB14 has been recommended. Now, smut of wheat. Smut is a seed-borne disease that is caused by fungus Astilogotritacea. The fungus that causes loose smut survives as dormant mycelia within the embryo of an infected wheat seed. When the seed germinates, the fungus becomes active again. The fungus develops within the growing point and moves into the developing grain tissue as the wheat plants grow. When the head emerges, there are masses of black spores on the spikelets instead of flowering parts. By harvest, only an erect bare rachis remains. The spores are released into the air and can be blown onto healthy wheat heads where infection takes place at flowering or the early stages of kernel development. If the infection is successful, the fungus begins to grow within the developing wheat seed embryo. Newly infected grain appears healthy in every way, but when it germinates the following season, the plant that grows from the infected seed will produce nothing but a dark mass of spores instead of healthy grain. The yield lost on infected heads is total. On a field-wide basis, the amount of yield loss is proportional to the percentage of infected heads. Now, what is treatment? Once loose smut becomes evident in the field, it's far too late to control the disease. The best option at the point is seed treatment. If producers have a field that is infected with loose smut and plan to keep some of the grain back for seed, they should be sure to have the seed commercially treated with a systematic fungicide and treatment such as triticonazole, difriconazole, tebuconazole and RTU-Vitivex or carboxym Thiram. These fungicides provide excellent control of loose smut, but good coverage of the seed is very important to ensure that the maximum benefit of the treatment is realized. Another option is to sell all the wheat from the infected field as grain and buy certified seed to plant in the fall. Certified seed is allowed to have as much as 10 heads in 1000 or 1% that are infected with loose smut. There is no requirement that this seed be treated in order to qualify as certified seed by the Crop Improvement Association, but it would be a good idea to buy treated seed. The cost of having seed treated with a standard low rate fungicide seed treatment for loose smut is relatively low. Costs are higher if the seed treatment also includes an insecticide such as Cruiser or Gaucho. There are no varieties are highly resistant to all races of loose smut. Now, citrus canker. Citrus canker, a contagious plant disease caused by the bacterium Xanthomonas citri, subspecies citri, can cause severe damage to all citrus cultivars and some citrus relatives. The disease is not a risk to human or animal health, but makes fruit unsightly and unmarketable. Symptoms are: the bacterium grows and multiplies in diseased plant parts. All above ground parts of the citrus tree are susceptible. Citrus canker causes premature leaf and fruit drop, twig dieback, and general decline and blemished fruit. Blisters like lesions on leaves and fruit start small and expand as the disease progresses. These lesions may darken to tan or black and develop a water-soaked margin with a yellow halo surrounding it. The center of the lesion on leaves as well as on the stems and twigs can appear raised and corky or skibby, surrounded by a water-soaked margin. Mature lesions on older symptomatic leaves may have a short whole look, and these lesions eventually die and fall out. This bacterium thrives in warm, moist conditions, and disease development is optimal at 68 degree Fahrenheit to 86 degree Fahrenheit. It oozes out from diseased plant parts where there is ample free moisture and easily spreads to cause new infections. The natural transmission mode is through wind and rain that spread the disease over short distances by splashing it into other plants. Tropical storms or hurricanes can accelerate the range and speed of the disease spread. The primary way citrus canker spreads across locations is that human activities can move infected materials from one place to another. The disease also spreads from tree to tree through mechanical contact with pruning and other equipment. Now, control of citrus canker. Exclude the pathogen from areas it is not known to exist by buying plants, budwood and seedling only from certified citrus nurseries. Use of good sanitation practices to reduce potential disease spread. Practice general cleanliness and use alcohol based sanitizers, bleach solution and antibacterial soap solutions to decontaminate equipment and tools and reduce the risks associated with human and mechanical transmission of the disease. Destruction of all affected trees by burning, pruning of infected parts particularly during dry season reduces source of inoculum. Remove and destroy diseased plants to eliminate potential bacteria for future infections. Spraying of fungicides like Bordeaux mixture and lime sulfur is often very effective to protect the fruits against infection. It should be done during the first 3 months of the development of fruits. There is a possibility that cultivation of disease resistant citrus varieties may produce good results. Now, rust of wheat. Rust, also called brown rust, occurs in the different parts of the world and can cause severe yield loss in epidemic years. It is caused by the fungal pathogen Puccinia triticina or Puccinia tritici. Leaf rust pustules rupture the leaf epidermis but lack conspicuous tear marks. These pustules contain orange-brown, rusty-colored spores. Later in the season, dark brown to black spores are produced which are not easily rubbed off the leaf surface. Pustules first develop on lower leaves and progress up to the plant. Symptoms can be present from seedling stages through ripening. Leaf rust does not leave conspicuous tears on leaves as does stem rust. Leaf rust pustules are scattered not in a linear pattern like strip rust. The fungus causing leaf rust requires living tissue to survive, thus it does not overwinter in northern areas. Each year, urideospores are blown north on wind currents from tropical areas and begin new infections when they land on leaves. High humidity and temperatures around 65 to 77 degree Fahrenheit favor disease development. When conditions are favorable, the infection cycle will continually repeat and result in secondary infections. Since inoculum has to build up in southern areas of America, yield loss will depend primarily on timing of spore migration and weather conditions when spores arrive in an area. Now, management of the disease. Good control of wheat rust can be achieved with commercially available fungicides and proper application timing. The decision to use fungicides should be based on scouting for symptoms. it's important to assess disease severity from the onset of infection through the various growth stages. Application timing should take into consideration that diseases should be managed before infection reaches the upper leaves. Other factors affecting fungicide application are infection level in the field, the susceptibility of variety, and the market price for wheat grain. Another most effective method for control of rust is to grow rust resistant varieties. Biodiversity among wheat cultivars can also be effectively checked the rust problem. Use 3 to 4 wheat varieties at a time on each farm. Avoid late sowing or late maturing varieties. To protect the crop from rust infection, spray 5 liters of sour buttermilk mixed with 200 liters of water. Amaranth, cholai or lal bhaji, a common green leaf vegetable, or mentha, pudina. Leaf dust can also be used as fine spray, that is 25 to 30 gram dry leaf powder per liter of water to prevent the infection of rusts. Foliar spray of dry leaf extract of Hibiscus rosa sinensis, Gudhal or China rose can also prevent the rust infection. Now, little leaf of brinjal. Causal agent of little leaf of brinjal is Mycoplasma like organism. Symptoms are as the main symptom of the disease is the production of very short leaves by affected plant. The petioles are so much reduced in size that leaves appear sticking to the stem. Such leaves are narrow, soft, smooth and yellowish in color. Newly formed leaves are further reduced in size. The internodes are shortened and at the same time large number of axillary buds are stimulated to grow into short branches with small leaves. This gives whole plant a bushy appearance. Usually, such plant unable to form flowers, fruiting is very rare. The disease is transmitted through by the vector cotton leaf hopper or Hishimonas physetis and Cestius physetis. Artificially, the disease has been transmitted successfully to tomato, potato and tobacco, probably during the season of brinjal crop. The causal agent survives on weed hosts and from there it is transmitted to main crop by its insect vector. Control measures. Since no effective control measure is found, it is better to eradicate the weed host and remove the diseased brinjal plants. Tetracycline has been reported to control the disease. Now, root node disease. Causal agent Meloidogyne incognita, Meloidogyne javanica and Meloidogyne arneria. Symptoms are as plants infected by root node nematodes are generally less vigorous than healthy plants. In foliage, symptoms of nutrient deficiency and diurnal wilting are visible due to reduced function of the root system. Diagnosis can be confirmed by carefully digging up the roots and observing the presence of bead-like galls. Galls are irregular enlargement of root tissue induced by nematode feeding and tend to be larger when multiple infections occur. Galls caused by different species of root node nematode may be similar in appearance. Favorable suitable conditions for disease development are as the host range of these 3 nematode species is very wide and includes many agricultural crops and weeds. Disease is most severe in warm areas with long growing seasons. In general, lighter sandy soils favor nematode infection and result in more severe damage to roots. Now, control measures. Fumigate infested soil and rotate to non-host grass crop to help reduce nematode populations. Plant root node nematode resistant varieties use also control. Thank you.